Hello and welcome to Efficient Strategy Gaming. Today I'd like to explain to you guys why I do not build civilian factories. So civilian factories are available to you under the construction tab here, and they basically only affect construction. The amount of civilian factories that you have available for construction you can see right here. I have 22 total, and that's modified by my mobilization level. So as you start going up in mobilization, the percentage of consumer goods factories goes down. So Germany, for instance, starts off at 25% consumer good factories, and if you were to switch to war economy, it would go down to 20. So there would be 5% more civilian factories available to you to construct things. Civilian factories are actually more expensive than military factories by greater than 3,000 construction cost. So this is another downside of building civilian factories. And the main thing is, if I build a military factory, it's going to take me, so next complete March 12th, it looks like it's going to take me about a month and a half to build a civilian factory. So that means in a month and a half, I'm going to be able to start producing military equipment with that thing that I built. So all things being equal, I don't need defenses. I'm an offensive country, which I typically play like offensive majors like Italy or Germany. I would rather have military equipment than, say, forts or radar, which are more like defensive structures. Because I'm going to go out, try to fight quick wars against people, and defeat the enemy in the field. So that means I need field equipment. That means I need military factories. So there are some channels that might say, oh, it's better to build X amount of civilian factories because when the war starts, you'll have an economic advantage. I would argue against this as well. In a scenario where you do not have a stockpile, yes, that would make sense. But since you do have a stockpile, and you're probably going to run out of manpower before um, you run out of equipment, what I find is if you go for like a historical build, you're going to fight in 1939, say, you can stockpile enough equipment here on 1939 when you start attacking so that you can pull from that later. If you invested more in civilian factories, you'd have a lot less equipment to pull from. That means a lot less divisions. That means a lot less fighting power, particularly if, say, you went up against a big major like Russia. You're going to need a huge amount of equipment stockpiled, which means turn one of Hearts of Iron 4, you're going to need to start building military factories so that you can make this massive amount of equipment. Another argument against building civilian factories is if you're going to go for like quick conquests, you can just go capture civilian factories from other countries. They might be building civilian factories in Poland, for instance. You can just invade Poland real quick and be successful militarily, be strong militarily, and then take civilian factories from another country. Another reason why to build civilian factories is you might say, well, I need to repair things that are being bombed or things that get destroyed when I invade another country, like infrastructure, say. I won't be able to repair them, but that's not true. You will. Actually, if you just put down at the bottom of your queue, such as this, say these two infrastructure areas need to be repaired, there is a free repair function. So these two areas will get repaired on their own without committing any civilian factories to the infrastructure in need of repair. So it might be slower, but it will happen over time. And if I need it done faster, I can always adjust my construction. Another way of looking at it is I probably would be willing to build civilian factories if it was somehow tied to infrastructure. So typically speaking, when you go to trade with another nation, if I want, so I give them one of my production, one of my civilian factories, and I get 8 amount of whatever item I want to trade with, unless they're my puppet, in which case I'll get a lot more of a certain resource. So basically 8 of any resource is equivalent to 1 civilian factory. Well, say I'm turn 1 in Germany and I want to increase my production speed. Well, I can build an infrastructure here in Moseland, and right off the bat, I get 7 different types of resources, which is basically equivalent to a civilian factory in and of itself for 3,000 construction cost. That's a third. And if I want to construct something in Moseland, it will construct faster since I have 8 infrastructure instead of 7. So it's kind of a double whammy. So I would definitely suggest building infrastructure before civilian factories. So if you were to still, even after this video, want to build civilian factories, build infrastructure first, like max out an area that will give you more resources, like Moseland. See, so that's 3 more infrastructure, which costs about the same as a civilian factory. And I get 22 extra resources from this area. And then after that, if I go and then again build on top of Moseland, whatever I build there will build faster. So that's why I kind of feel that it's not worth it to build civilian factories. Final point. If I want more civilian factories, I can just also adjust my mobilization. And that, although it does not create more civilian factories, what it does is gives me more civilian factories that are already created available for the construction over here. So there's a lot of ways to get around having to build civilian factories, and military factories for the long run I feel like are much better as long as you have the resources to produce whatever you want to produce over in the production screen here. Having stockpiles of military equipment definitely pays off in the long run, and you can always just capture civilian factories from other countries and do all these different types of workarounds to boosting your construction in Hearts of Iron 4. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys, and I hope that it shed light on some of the mechanics of construction. And please like and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content, and I'll see you on the next one.